are in a massive construction site in Willets Point, Queens, a future home of 2,500 units of affordable housing and a brand new all-electric soccer stadium, the first privately financed anywhere in New York City. Look at this foundation. Sweet. This is exciting to see. I'm actually going to take a picture that I can share with the team.
Queens continues to lead the city, certainly in housing production. This is really going to have a positive impact in the community that was devastated during the pandemic, for sure. So between the soccer stadium, between the housing, between all of the restaurants, this is a good hodgepodge of things that will make sure that people here can live in a community, afford a community, and more importantly, stay in their community, live, work, and play. This is what happens when government comes together with community. You end up scoring a goal for our borough.
World sport and the world's borough, it's got to be here.
Even a better part of that, 15% set aside for formerly homeless families, who will now be able to live. It is poetic justice, in my opinion.
So we're currently in phase one. We've got both the basic infrastructure, so new waterways, new sewer, new electric, and the first of the 2,500 units of affordable housing. This is the largest 100% affordable housing project to be built in New York City in 40 years. And it's amazing that it's happening right here in Queens. That's what justice and opportunity looks like for me.
We're at the first ever community vending market in New York City that you really helped to champion, to say, you know what, these are our city's smallest businesses, they're the heart and soul of Corona, and we want to make sure that they're able to thrive and give back to the community that they live and work in as well. Working with the Corona Plaza Street Vendors Association and Queens Economic Development Corporation, we're able to bring in 14 stalls. So they're here every single day. We have representation from Ecuador, from Mexico, from Guatemala.
The taste of the world.
Exactly.
The taste of the world. And this is symbolic of who we are as a borough. Hello, good to see you, señorita.
Hi, how are you?
Good, muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Just been working for 8 years here in Corona
8 years
Plaza.
at Corona Plaza, wow. Woo!
This is a fight for dignity and equity for street vendors who for so long have been treated as less than human.
Muy bien. Muy bien.
But in reality, right, look around you. I think the most honorable thing is folks who are waking up at 2 in the morning to make tamales and then bring their kids to school and then come to work, all within the bounds of their own neighborhood. And that's what a local economy is supposed to be.
Very good. Now, where are you from?
¿De dónde?
Mexico, too. And your son is going into the Navy to serve this country.
Y ahora, Doña Joaquina. Chalupas.
Oh, chalupas.
So they're just starting to make them up for the day.
I'm so grateful for the Street Vendors Project. This is just the beginning, right? I mean, we're hoping to replicate this across the city. Eating my way through the borough.
I think justice for Corona Plaza and for street vendors all throughout the borough, all throughout the city, is to be treated with dignity, to be treated as the small business owners that they are, to have access to the permitting and licensing that they need.
Want a borough hall like this today.
To be able to be a part of our city's economy and to contribute back the way that they continue to do.
We're right here in the shadow of the Ravenswood generating plant. Big Alice, founded in 1963 across the street from the Queensbridge houses. Queensbridge being constructed in 1939, Robert Moses deliberately redlining west of 21st Street, Ravenswood and Story houses all being in that catchment area of that red line. And this is the result, right? 1963, they just dropped this power plant into this neighborhood across the street from public housing. It's environmental racism. This plant is 20%, 25% of the city's energy output every day. And the cost of that, historically, has been the asthma rate skyrocketing in these zip codes. Imagine actually having that come down in our lifetimes. And then getting the pollution out of people's homes and letting people actually breathe clean air. I mean, what you're leading on this transition is going to be a transformation for this neighborhood.
The future of this site really should be dictated by the residents of Queensbridge houses, the people who been most impacted by these plans. And I think there's a huge opportunity here, right, between open space, between renewable energy to really try to right the wrongs of the past.
Now, these should be the families who have been generationally impacted by asthma. Parents, grandparents, grandkids, they should be the ones that decide what goes here, what replaces this.
Right, and that's the big difference between what I call economic development and community development.
Right. The future, this is an opportunity to transform Asthma Alley into Renewable Row, to create a template for what the 21st century should look like. I mean, what the Queensborough president's doing to reimagine Ravenswood, to have the residents decide their own futures, their families' futures, their grandkids' futures. This is what this can be and should be.
Welcome to the 2024 Queens State of the Borough Address, orchestrated and led by our fearless leader, Queensborough President Donovan Richards, where leadership and outcomes are true action words, and where leadership transcends mere position. It's about the decisions we make and the courage we embody. It's the audacity to step forward, to embrace vulnerability, and to champion bravery. True leadership lies in aligning our emotions with our values, paving the path to genuine success. It's about breaking barriers, infusing every action with love for the people of Queens, surpassing expectations and constantly pondering what is the right path. Throughout this journey, our priority remains the welfare of our community, employing persuasive strategies to delve into the essence of our purpose. Queensborough President Donovan Richards aims to ignite flames of passion, evoking the best within each of us, breathing life into strategic plans, visions, and revolutionary concepts. And even amidst our challenges, Queens perseveres, knowing that every single endeavor serves the well-being of the people. While setbacks may test our resolve, they also signify the beginning of progress towards triumph. Under the focused and intentional leadership of Queensborough President Donovan Richards Jr., we consciously opt for greatness, leading with intention and discipline and harnessing the collective brilliance of diverse minds for a brighter Queens. Shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand, we walk this path together, guiding and uplifting one another every step of the way. Unstoppable, empowered, and architects of our future, for we are Queens. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite the lady of the house, Queens Theater Executive Director, Taryn Sacramone.
She's got me pumped up back there. This is a good day at the office. Welcome to Queens Theater. This month marks the 60th anniversary of the opening of the 1964-65 World's Fair. As many of you know, this building was constructed as the Theaterama, part of the New York State Pavilion. At its best, the fair captured the imaginations of the people who came here as they were exposed to other cultures and new ideas. It made them dream into a future where a more connected world would lead to innovation, peace, and understanding. Yesterday, Queens Theater announced 6 months of events partnering with other Queens institutions, a lot of whom are in this room, to celebrate the anniversary, a series we're titling Theaterama. Storytelling, film, music, theater, history. There will be something for everyone, as there was at the fair. 35 years ago, with the support of a visionary Queensborough president, this building got new life as a professional performing arts center, which is why today you are sitting in the Claire Schulman Theater. Even as we celebrate our history, we are looking to the future, Now, with support from another visionary Queens Borough president, Donovan Richards, this space will transform once more. With his support, we will be renovating the Claire Shulman Theater, improving everything from the seating to the stage and the lighting, creating a better and even more accessible experience for audiences and artists for decades to come. We are tremendously grateful for the Borough President's support of Queens Theater and the entire cultural landscape in Queens. He has been a strong and effective advocate and champion, knowing that cultural institutions are critical to the economic and social health of the borough. And that thank you. He knows that the benefits of arts and culture should be available to everyone. This is all to say that we are very honored to host the State of the Borough, and it has been a pleasure to work with his incredible team. I will hope to see each and every one of you back at Queens Theater again soon. Thank you.
All right, you guys, gratitude is essential, so we've got to thank some folks before we move on to this agenda here. And some of the people that we need to thank is our amazing sponsors sitting over here to our right. Just raise your hand. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, JetBlue, Delta Airlines, and BRP companies. Raise your hand. Thank you so much for all that you've done. Thank you for the investment that you have into this borough. And then Reframe the World, this amazing clip here, film production company that made that moving film so great. If you're here, raise your hand. We thank you so much. And to QPTV for streaming our program live today and for all the work they do to keep us informed. Thank you in advance to all the incredible performers who are going to blow you away this morning. So you guys get ready for some great entertainment. And to our elected officials and government partners who are here with us today. The work of all of our offices do rely on partnerships. And we're honored to partner with each of you on so many initiatives to better this borough. Thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, please rise if you are able for our national anthem performed by FDNY firefighter Michael Green Gregg, followed by the NYPD Guardians Gospel Choir's rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing and Melodies from Heaven by Kirk Franklin.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight are the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets reckless, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Till I'm in heaven. You may take your seats, but we're going to ask you to clap with us if you want to stand. But maybe you heard of Melodies from Heaven. This is a special request of our borough president, and we are singing it for you. That was the NYPD Guardians Gospel Choir, directed by Reverend Marcus Lewis. God bless you all.
Yeah, let's keep that going. Let's keep it going. My father happens to be a pastor, and that took me back to church. What an amazing time. We thank you so much, NYPD Gardens of Association of Gospel Choir, and also firefighter Michael Green-Gregg for the national anthem. Yes, but before we continue, we'd like to pause and remember some extraordinary individuals who could not be with us this morning. Queens lost some of its most beloved sons and daughters over the last year. True community servants who did so much to shape so many of our communities. This morning, we'd like to honor a few of them, so we dedicate today's program to them. NYPD Detective, first grade, Jonathan Diller. Department of Veterans Services Deputy Commissioner and former City Council member, Paul Vallone. Trans rights icon, Cecilia Gentili. Queensbridge Houses Resident Association President, April Simpson Taylor. New York One anchor, Rochelle Boone. Former City Council member, Morton Poffman. District Leader, Leslie Spigner. In their memory, let us observe a moment of silence. Thank you. More than 190 countries are represented right here in Queens, and 350 languages and dialects are spoken. But countless religions are also practiced right here in our borough that gave birth to a notion of religious freedom in America. So we'd ask that you rise, if you are able, for today's invocation delivered jointly by Reverend Sandra Townsend Brown of the New Jerusalem Worship Center in Jamaica, Rabbi Mark Kaiserman of the Reformed Temple of Forest Hills, and Imam Safraz Bakas of Masjid Al-Abanin in South Richmond Hill.
Let us pray. Most gracious and all-wise God, as we assemble today, we praise you for this day and for the purpose you have established for our gathering. We are grateful for the promise of your word that assures us that where 2 or 3 are gathered in your name, you, O God, are in the midst. So thank you, Lord, for bringing us together in a spirit of unity and collaboration. May we discern your will and yield to your divine guidance. May we honor one another with respect and understanding. And may we trust in your plans by faith, knowing that you are working all things together for our collective good. Hear this humble prayer this day in the mighty name of Jesus the Christ, our Savior. Amen.
The holiday of Passover next week celebrates freedom, and we need that celebration. Too many go to bed at night without the strength of a meal. We seek freedom from hunger. Too many don't have the security or comfort of a place to call home. We seek freedom from homelessness. Too many struggle with assaults on their body and soul in their home and on the streets. We seek freedom from violence. Too many live in a world of conflict, under the shadow of attack and destruction. We seek freedom from war. There is an unending list of problems and adversities challenging us every day, yet we have hope. Much as the Israelites found deliverance, we too can strive for a better tomorrow. We hold tight to the blessings that surround us and are often ignored. We have faith in our leaders, our community, and our fellow human beings to seek out the best in one another and work towards a better tomorrow. The rumble of the earth and the darkening of the sky each pass. So too, with courage, commitment, and conviction, we will find a world, a country, a city, and a borough suffused in the blessing of peace and freedom for all. Amen.
Greetings to all. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. O Lord, we are living in a very challenging time. So we ask of you, O Lord, for your love and the love of those who love thee and the love of every act that will draw us closer to thee. Show us goodness as goodness and grant us the capacity to embrace goodness, and show us evil as evil and grant us the capacity to ward off all form of evil. We thank you, O Lord, for the immense blessings you have showered upon us. O God Almighty, make this year better than the last year and grant us good health, peace, and security. We ask of thee to bless our Borough President, Donovan Richard, with good health and strength, so he will continue to serve us as an empathetic leader. Bless him with the wisdom so he can continue to serve with excellence. O God Almighty, we ask of thee to strengthen our resolve to be champions of good that blotches out evil and a light that illuminates darkness. So we are weak, O Lord, so grant us the ability to fulfill our oaths that we have taken to serve our citizen of this city and our nation. We pray for peace, O Lord, Lord of beauty and happiness. We ask of thee, O God Almighty, to shower us with a love that causes hate to dissipate. Unite us on the truth no matter who stands opposed. Rectify our fears and make us people who guard the scales of justice. Grant them, the men and women that work in this borough and in the office of the borough, the wisdom and courage to uphold and promote the values of this great nation. And we ask of thee, O God, to inspire in us the ability to make this world a better place, one of love, compassion, care, and togetherness. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursaleen. Peace be with all of you. Thank you.
You may be seated because now it is time to party. Are you all ready? Okay, so culture is king right here in Queens, and no one embodies that. Yeah, who believes that? I heard that culture, yay. Nobody embodies that better than the amazing performers of the Queensborough Dance Festival, performing the Tinikling, the national dance of the Philippines. Please welcome to the stage, Queensborough Dance Festival. Let's give it up one more time for Queensboro Dance Festival. All right. And this happens to be kind of close to me because my dear, dear pal and my senior advisor, Jonathan Imperial, is from this land. So we eat very good at lunch. All right. So with us this morning is a trailblazer, a champion for working families, and like Borough President Donovan Richards, a proud product of Southeast Queens. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the first Black speaker in history, the New York City Council Speaker, Adrian Adams.
Good morning, everyone. I said to the Deputy Borough President, I think we're twinning today. Yes, yes, yes. You know, before I start my remarks, I just have to say, Queens, you are the top story of the day. Congratulations. It is an amazing thing that is coming to Queens, the Willets Point Stadium, the first international stadium for the city of New York. It will be right here. We thank the mayor, we thank the borough president. Most importantly, we thank my colleague, council member Francisco Moya. Francisco, stand up. I had to get that out of my system. I'm glad you indulged me on that. I'm real excited about that. So I'm really, really thrilled to be here once again, to be in the presence of all of you, my fellow Queens family, and those who are visiting, and those of you that just love Queens the way that we do. I thank our Deputy Borough President, Ebony Young, for your introduction and your leadership in our world's borough. I am City Council Speaker Adrian Adams, and I'm so honored to lead the very first historic women majority in the history of the city of New York. And I am also so very proud to represent as the first woman representing Council District 28, which I call the Great 28 in Southeast Queens. I acknowledge all of my colleagues in government who are here today. I said good morning to you, as well as the Queens Theater, led by the one and only Taryn Sacramone and her team for hosting us today. The Queens Theater is truly the jewel of our borough, and it is critical that we protect and invest in cultural institutions like it. I also want to, that's right. I also, of course, want to recognize today's keynote speaker, Dr. Ellen Baker, a renowned NASA astronaut who is also the daughter of our beloved former Queensboro President, Claire Schulman. Dr. Baker, your mother was a true champion of Queens, and we are so proud to claim you in Queens also. She was always one of the first to give me a warm hug whenever we saw each other, and we are so excited to hear from you this morning. I'm so proud also, and it took us a long time, but yes, if you didn't notice, I'm the first Black speaker of the New York City Council. And also the first speaker who hails from Queens since Speaker 1, Peter Vallone Sr., who was our borough's pioneer. As elected officials working every day to serve New Yorkers, it's important that we have partners in local government who share our vision of a more just and equitable city. Since Queensboro President Donovan Richards Jr. took the helm at Queensboro Hall, he has been laser focused on advancing efforts to create a stronger, safer, and healthier borough for all of us who call this place home. Through his steadfast commitment and actions to confront the housing crisis, expand economic opportunities, support our community institutions, and address environmental racism, we have all benefited from the tremendous impact of his leadership. But we do know that there is still more work to do to realize the change we seek and the future that we all deserve. As we hear today from our borough president, Richards, about his plans to guide the growth of Queens and correct the historic injustices facing our communities, I am confident that Queens is in good hands and that there is no one better to move our borough forward. On a personal level, I've known our borough president for many years, dating back to my time as not even chairperson, but as education chairperson for Community Board 12 here in Queens. And when we served together on the city council, I learned so much from Donovan just by watching him lead crucial committees and advocate for the priorities of his community. And now, as our borough president, he has fought to improve the lives of all Queens residents. He takes on the big challenges and tough fights that are not always easy, but are necessary to strengthen our neighborhoods and prepare our future generations for success. As you can tell, I'm so proud of my little brother, our borough president, because he leads with his heart, tenacity, and a love for the people of Queens. Donovan always puts the people of Queens first, and I know that he always will. As we continue to work together to move our city forward, I stand tall at my little 5'6" feet, because I know that I have a true partner in public service right by my side, and the Borough of Queens has a champion who will never, ever let us down. His name is the Honorable Donovan Richards, Jr. Thank you.
Speaker Adams, everybody, Speaker Adams. Okay, so do we have any Etta James fans in the house? Raise your hand if you're an Etta James fan. Okay, so we've got something special for you. Joining us on stage now to perform Etta's classic At Last, please welcome vocalist Greta Scott, joining us from the Joes Academy of Music in St. Albans. go hear some jazz this weekend. That was amazing. Before I move on with the program, I do want to acknowledge that our Queens DA, Melinda Katz, is here. Let's give her a round of applause. If you could stand. Oh, thank you. Yes. Next, it is my honor to bring to the stage an outspoken leader who has worked closely with Borough President Richards on all things justice for over a decade now. So please welcome our New York City public advocate, Jumaane Williams.
Peace and blessing, love and light, everybody. How you doing? What's up, Queens? Usually I yell Brooklyn wherever I go, but I'm not gonna do that. Thank you to Deputy Borough President Young. We're not gonna act like she just didn't sound like Etta James over here. So let's give another round of applause for that, please. And I know all my colleagues are here. Shout out to all my colleagues, but I do want to give a special shout out to our speaker. She's doing a bang-up job making sure that the focus remains the people of the city of New York. That's a hard thing to do in this environment with some of the folks we have to do it with. So I just want to say thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for that. And I'm proud to be here and celebrate the work of your public servant, Borough President Richards. I've been a colleague alongside BP Richards on behalf of Queens and our city for many years, and I'm looking forward to a partnership and progress that's possible for our borough in the coming year. Queens is in a moment where we must address new challenges and ongoing issues and long-standing systems that have perpetuated many problems that our city and state still face. I know that together with unity and resolve, we can create transformational change for a more just and equitable Queens and a more just and equitable New York. We both know that one of the greatest challenges facing our city is how to help New Yorkers be both safe and feel safe. And we know it's time to stop spreading that tough on crime message and really start getting serious about safety. Imagine a community with a sense of security, not only in the commonly understood idea of public safety, but in affordability and access to public services with education, libraries, parks, housing, and health. Imagine that knowing our law enforcement have a very important part to play, and we have to support them in that part with transparency and accountability, and also understand that we all know they can't do it alone. No matter where I go, everyone seems to want the same thing: safe streets, good jobs, the ability to provide for their families and create a better world for those who follow. And that's our shared mission. It's impossible for all our electeds to agree all the time across all branches. No one ever does. But if we agree to engage in good faith for the good of New Yorkers, for the good of Queens, we can achieve great things. Right now, like our city, our state needs courageous leadership in City Hall and in the borough, and Borough President Donovan Richards is a huge part of that fight. I know he'll continue to carry Queens with him to City Hall, always fighting for the resources and programs that are needed. The role of public advocate in this government and in this moment is a unique one, in which I'm called to act as an ally to government partners in work that best serves and benefits the New Yorkers we serve, and to hold those partners accountable when that standard is not met. We have more melanated leadership and power than we ever have. But we also know just changing diversity doesn't work if we don't change the way things have been for the people who needed the help the most. So I'm eager to work with Borough President Richards moving forward to advance New York, Queens in recovery and renewal, to not settle for what is, but push for what can be, to advance a vision for what public safety is and can be, and what can drive affordability and health and economic growth. This is an important occasion not only for the Borough President or the Queens community here today, but for the people of New York. You entrusted us with responsibility to act as stewards for Queens and for New York, and the mandate to deliver positive change to renew New York. I know we all remember our moral obligation in taking on these roles and responsibilities, and as well as we continue the work of services moving forward. I very much look forward to doing that with your Borough President, Donovan Richards. Thank you so much.
All right, public advocate Jumaane Williams. So we all know Queens is the world's borough, but what would it be without our dynamic Latin communities? If you are Latin, give it up. So if Latin music is your thing, you are going to absolutely love our final performance. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage a proud son of Queens, Grammy Award-winning saxophonist Steven Salcedo and his tremendous band.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Borough President Donovan Richards. Thank you to his incredible staff, particularly Phil Ballman, for having us here time and time again. My name is, yes, give them up. My name is Steven Salcedo. This is Salcedo's Latin Soul. It's such an honor to be here playing the State of the Borough. We're going to play a couple tunes for you. Now, I did the math last night, and it turns out that I'm on my 10-year anniversary of being a proud Queens resident. Born and raised in New York, but being part of this Queens community gives me so much joy. One of the things in particular is, as an artist, I have the opportunity to work with incredible institutions such as the Coverbrook Center of the Arts at Queens College. And in collaboration with KCA, we co-developed this program called Kubop to Hip Hop. Talks about migration patterns from Cuba, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and how everybody came up in the 20th century and brought along our musical heritage that helped shape the New York sound. So we're gonna play a Kubop tune for you, but before we get to that, we'd like to put a Latin soul spin on a classic by the ultimate Queens ambassador. We're talking about Pops himself, Louis Armstrong, a proud Queens resident from Corona. This one's written by Lillian Armstrong. It's called Struttin' with Some Barbecue. Thank you so much. As I promised you before, we are going to play a Kubop piece. Now, Kubop to Hip Hop has been such an incredibly successful program. Folks, we've reached over 15,000 students in the greater public school area of Queens. And it all starts with this song right here, written by Dizzy Gillespie, Chano Pozo. It revolutionized music over here, combined Cuban rhythms with bebop sounds. Dizzy Gillespie lived around the corner from Louis Armstrong. Folks, this is called Manteca. We hope you enjoy. so much. Thank you again. Such an honor to be here. Have a wonderful rest of the program. Gabriel Chakaji on piano. Otaniel Vargas on drums. Gabriel Otero on bass. Steven Salcedo. Thank you. Take care.
That is Salcedo soul. Look at that. Give it up. That was amazing. It is almost time, everyone. We are almost there. Our final speaker, who we will introduce, she will actually introduce the borough president. She's one who is very familiar to this office. In the final years of her life, former borough president Claire Schulman developed an impactful friendship with Donovan Richards. And one of the things they bonded on was family, related not by blood, but by a love for this borough. Claire's family became like family to Donovan's and vice versa. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you former NASA astronaut and the daughter of Borough President Schulman, Dr. Ellen Baker.
Well, I was asked to come to introduce Donovan, but he certainly needs no introduction. But I'm so pleased to be here, and while I no longer live in Queens, I am a New Yorker. It stays with you, and you can never get rid of it, and you can always embrace it. So many of you knew my mother, Claire Schulman. She was a huge fan of Donovan's, as you just heard, and she spent a lot of time with him before he became borough president. She had the opportunity to get to know him very personally as a man of integrity and a man of quality. And I heard so much about Donovan before I ever even got the chance to meet him. But she believed in him and saw in him a rare talent and a real commitment to the vision that they both shared for the future of Queens. She saw in Donovan a man with a good heart and a man of action. She saw not a politician, but a public servant who would work for Queens and place the good of this community above any personal or political ambitions. And unfortunately, this is a rare find among today's political leaders and elected officials. The two of them were very much in sync. She worked tirelessly and passionately for this community for decades. She believed in putting her money and the efforts into projects important for the very diverse community across a wide range of needs: education, housing, cultural, arts, health, jobs, transportation, a very long list. And she worked at this every day during her tenure as borough president. And though her term ended in 2001, she remained deeply engaged in the borough of Queens, the community, and worked in many, many different capacities. Those of you who knew her knew that the word no was not in her vocabulary, and the phrase "it can't be done" was something you would never hear her say. And she was 94 when she died, and still she talked daily of all the work remaining to be done for the borough. The work to be done was and is never ending, as we know. And for this very diverse piece of real estate here in the U.S., maybe the most diverse in the world, a community of almost 2.5 million people, this is a community of people who've come to Queens to build a future for themselves and their family, and my mother felt a very strong responsibility, particularly as borough president, but even following that, to work towards this future, and she never lost her vision. Donovan, I know, also feels this responsibility and has been entrusted to carry it forward. And Donovan, you have followed her example in so many ways, as she might say, with shovels in the ground, ensuring smart and effective investment in Queens and in the myriad of projects to strengthen and advance the growth of the people of Queens. You said last year she gave you a blueprint for moving forward. Well, this blueprint is yours, and the legacy will be yours. You've invited citizens of Queens to have a voice and to be heard and have access to government, to join and work for and support their community. And this is so important and so empowering. And unfortunately, transparency in government and that kind of access is also so rare in today's world. Well, the challenge is to keep this amazing and diverse, large, complicated, and wonderful borough safe, healthy, prosperous, and growing are many. The world is dynamic and ever-changing, with new threats and worries popping up all the time. And many would find it overwhelming. I mean, where does one start when you consider the long list of things to be tackled? But with so many challenges also comes so many opportunities. And Queens has such strong visionary leadership in Donovan with his boundless energy and his passion. He has the resources and has built a strong team and a strong network, all well aligned to execute the plans to move forward to ensure a safe and healthy, prosperous future for all. Thank you again for inviting me to be here today. I look forward to hearing about the progress of this past year and the plans for the future. Please welcome Donovan.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours, it will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, glory.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right, what's going on, Queens? We made it through the week. No earthquakes, no solar eclipse. So I expect more energy from y'all than that. How we doing, Queens? Thank you all for coming. And let me start off by thanking the Queens Theater for having me back for the second year in a row. Taryn, I am so grateful for your hospitality, leadership, and friendship. And of course to Ellen Baker. Let's give it up for Ellen. Thank you for coming back to Queens to be with us today. And most of all, thank you for sharing your mom with all of us. Claire Schulman was a mentor. She was family to me, and I miss her every day. To my own family, especially the First Lady of Queens, stand up, Tamika Richards. I'm on this stage because of you. You inspire me every day to be a better public servant, better partner, and a better person. And the garbage is going out when I get home. I love you, and of course I love you too, D3. And he isn't loving his parents too much today though, because we made him go to school. I didn't want him to get those habits I had in high school of cutting so early. And to my incredible staff at Borough Hall, you amaze me every day with your dedication. Let's give it up for Team Richards. Every year that I'm on this stage, I think back to how I got started in this business and who inspired me to get involved. Today, I'm thinking back to my close friend Darnell Patterson, who lost his life to gun violence when we were just teenagers. His murder sent me on a search for justice in a world where injustice is commonplace for too many young men of color like us. And I'm still searching, but I'm thinking back to 2008, when I first found evidence of its existence in the words of presidential candidate Barack Obama. I remember feeling seen, feeling ready to serve, with his one simple call to action: yes, we can. There was a newer, higher purpose to public service in my eyes, in a society designed to devalue and dehumanize the Black American. Here was a man who looked like me, with the courage to call out our nation's most historic injustices. I'm thinking back to 2009 when President Obama in his speech accepting the Nobel Peace Prize said that for all our cruelty and hardship, we are not mere prisoners of fate. Our actions matter and can bend history in the direction of justice. He's right. There is so much entrenched cruelty and hardship, even in our own borough. Communities of color, from Corona to Cambria Heights, have been intentionally disinvested in for generations, eroding the quality of our lives and the quantity of our opportunities. Pollution and climate change have done their worst to those living on the sharp edge of poverty, with no way of escaping disease or disaster. But we are not prisoners to these fates. The inspiration I felt back in 2008, moved by the audacity of hope, is the same inspiration I felt every single day as borough president. Because every day, I meet people who dare to dream up their own destiny, undeterred by their past or present. In working together these last 3 years, we are bending our future, our collective fate, in the direction of justice for all 2.4 million of us who call Queens home. And that's what we're here to talk about today, justice. And nothing exemplifies the injustice in our society more than a number, 85,290. What is that number? That is the number of New Yorkers, residents, and asylum seekers alike who will go to sleep tonight in a city shelter. That includes 32,000 children. But the migrant crisis and the housing crisis share an answer, and it's called building. If you're from Senegal or Springfield Gardens, Honduras or Howard Beach, you deserve a roof over your head. The definition of social justice is equal opportunity for all, regardless of circumstance. And that equal opportunity is what my office is working to tirelessly deliver. Housing creation, for instance, fell across the city last year, but Queens didn't get that memo. Over 5,000 housing units received my sign-off in 2023, including more than 2,900 affordable units. And since I took office, that number is nearly 10,000. But I'm not satisfied, though. As long as our shelter system is overcrowded and thousands of families live on the brink of homelessness, none of us should be satisfied. But I see those 10,000 units as 10,000 opportunities for a fresh start for families across this borough. We're talking about 2,500 fresh starts at Willard's Point alone, home to the city's largest 100% affordable housing development in 40 years. Clap for that, Mayor Adams. Francisco, Moya. The shovels are in the ground, and the first 880 units are under construction as we speak. And once that's done, we've got a 25,000-seat all-electric soccer stadium to build too. It took a lot of negotiating to get here, so of course I want to shout out the Adams administration. Thank you all for your diligence, and of course to my partner, Councilmember Francisco Moya, for your commitment in getting this done as well. But where is the justice in new housing, a new school, new retail space, and more if Corona, Jackson Heights, East Elmhurst, or Flushing families aren't reaping the benefits? So I'll tell you what I tell a city or any developer who comes through my door. If the community benefits are not there, then neither is my support. But if your project is as inclusive as Willard's Point, thousands of union jobs included, then sign me up right away. And when it comes to community first planning, we created a new gold standard in our borough, the redevelopment of the Creedmoor campus in Eastern Queens. Last year, my office launched a series of public workshops with the Empire State Development to reimagine 50 acres of vacant state-owned land there. And to the credit of Eastern Queens families, they showed up with bright ideas and bold visions. And through our partnership with Governor Hochul, the draft master plan we released in December includes nearly 2,900 new housing units, including units set aside for our seniors and veterans. Heck, we've even set aside 55% of those units for home ownership too. And beyond just housing, the plan also includes retail space, open space, community centers, and even a school. Now couple the master plan with additional investment in area infrastructure and transportation upgrades, and Eastern Queens will become the borough's next great place to live, work, and play. No more needing to leave your neighborhood to find an affordable place to live, a good school for your child, a park to play in, or even a good restaurant, and we know all about that in Queens. Instead, justice is on the menu in Eastern Queens. Now let's go get some shovels in the dirt. Now, nowhere else in the borough has been as systemically disinvested in as the Rockaway Peninsula. But the Rockaway Renaissance is in full swing, my friends. Over 1,000 people have moved into Rockaway Village, including hundreds of formerly homeless families. And remember, last year when I was on the stage, we announced Rockaway Village's $30 million Gotham Health Clinic. Well, we're about to sign a lease and get started on construction on that as well. Thank you to Health and Hospitals for your dedication and work here. And over at Auburn East, we're cutting the ribbon with Councilmember Savina Brooks Powers in 2 weeks on the gorgeous 35-acre beachside nature preserve and community multi-purpose facility. Meanwhile, a $50 million infrastructure upgrade along Shorefront Parkway is well underway. With this work in the bag, we can get started on the grand prize, however, at Auburn East. More than 1,300 units of affordable housing and what will be New York City's first net zero community. Now that is what justice for Far Rockaway families looks like. What was once our city's most forgotten neighborhood is now home to some of the most innovative development plans imaginable. And speaking of innovative, there could be no better word than to describe what we're seeing in Jamaica, Queens. 1 year ago, I stood on this stage and called on the city to create a Jamaica neighborhood plan, a blueprint for how this community can meet the needs of its families. City Planning Commissioner Dan Garodnick was here last year, and he must have got the memo and got inspired. Because not only did we launch that plan covering more than 300 blocks, we galvanized hundreds of residents by hosting months of public workshops, bringing them into the conversation and building this plan around them. And just a few weeks ago, City Planning released a draft zoning framework for Jamaica. More affordable housing, more jobs across countless industries, more public space, and better transit access. It also includes $70 million for the reconstruction of Jamaica Avenue. We're talking about wider sidewalks, better lighting, street safety upgrades, pop-up programming, and more. I promise to leave this neighborhood better than I found it. And Speaker Adrian Adams and Councilmember Williams made that same pledge as well. And that's exactly what all of us are working to deliver. Because we are not prisoners of fate in Southeast Queens, my friends. From Gracie Mansion to City Hall to Borough Hall, products of Jamaica are at the helm of this city, and we've got decades of historic injustice to correct. So you're daggone right. We're moving with the urgency of now in Jamaica, Queens. If I'm being honest, though, I think there's something even more exciting on the way for Jamaica and all of our historically marginalized communities of color. But before I tell you what that is, let's back up 6 months and 6,000 miles. Ever since she got to Borough Hall, Deputy Borough President Ebony Young has been hell-bent on transforming Queens into America's next great tech hub. And she knows you can't do that without engaging Black and brown New Yorkers, who make up 51% of our city's population, but just 22% of the city's tech workforce. Through Ebony's research, she learned about Africa's greatest tech hub, Lagos, Nigeria. So last summer, we flew across the Atlantic. What a flight. Determined to learn how Lagos became the Silicon Valley of Africa. And to borrow a line from my good friend Mayor Adams, learn how we can make Queens the Lagos of America. For a week, we met with countless young Black entrepreneurs, app designers, software developers, startup CEOs, all empowered through public and private investment. In Lagos, the government is deeply intertwined in the tech field, from directly funding startup companies to building brick and mortar tech hubs. Meanwhile, the city has cultivated relationships with major companies like Google and Microsoft, directly connecting them with local entrepreneurs on the ground to help them grow. Ebony and I came back to Queens personally and professionally moved, determined to replicate what we saw in Lagos right here in the world's borough. Now, we have done some good work so far in the tech space, from giving out $100,000 in seed funding to startups through our Queens Tech and Innovation Challenge to our annual Queens Tech Fair. But after our Lagos trip, we are not satisfied. We are thinking bigger. So today, I am proud to announce the creation of a Diversity Tech and Innovation Center, Queens Way, of bringing economic and technological justice to those who have been long denied. Created in partnership with our friends at Pursuit and built within One Court Square in Long Island City, the center should open next year and serve as a hub of programming and growth for 50 startups. And let me say this, I'm not just talking about it, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. We are investing $5 million into funding for this center. Queens, get the money, baby. We'll be working with Tech NYC and EDC to identify those first 50 companies. And we'll be looking to scale up significantly from there. The man who will serve as the center's first ever executive director, Randy Wiggins, is here with us today. Stand up, Randy. Randy, thank you. Randy is one of the nation's leading tech entrepreneurs and investors. And I can't wait to see all that we're going to accomplish together. And I know you've been hearing the word justice a lot today, but that's what this work is all about. And in my office, we're all about connecting Queens residents to the jobs of tomorrow. And nowhere have we been more successful at that than our airports, which have been critical in driving our unemployment rate down to just 4%, the lowest in New York City. And specifically, I'm talking about JFK, which is in the midst of an unprecedented $20 billion overhaul, arguably the biggest economic development project in Queens history. The $400 million new Terminal 8 is done, check. The $1.5 billion new Terminal 4 is just about there. And the new Terminal 1, now in Terminal 6, at a combined $13 billion, are well under construction. We even built a new construction support facility so we can move the materials on barges instead of on trucks that roll along our roads. Isn't that smart development? More than 300,000 truck trips are being eliminated because of it, reducing air pollution and making our streets safer. And as the co-chair of the JFK Redevelopment Advisory Council, along with my partner, Congressmember Meeks, I love to see it and we love to see it. But the new number of new gates isn't as important as the 15,000 plus jobs we're creating, including thousands of union jobs. Shout out to our brothers and sisters in labor. And of course, I'm interested in making sure Queens residents land those jobs. And that's what my office has hosted multiple aviation job fairs and contracting fairs at Borough Hall to directly connect our new neighbors to these new opportunities. And that's why I couldn't be prouder that $850 million in contracts have gone to Queens-based businesses. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Southeast Queens has to deal with the plane noise. Southeast Queens has to deal with the traffic on the Van Wyck. So it's only just that it's the families of Southeast Queens who benefit the most from this project. And as this work continues, I'll push even harder to demand that justice is exactly what we deliver here. And while the Queens economy is soaring, Mother Nature is trying her best to ground us. I've seen firsthand what climate change can do to a community, from Superstorm Sandy's destruction of Rockaway to Hurricane Ida's flooding of Flushing. I've also seen what kind of damage fossil fuel plants can do to a community. Look no further than Asthma Alley in Western Queens. Now, what's the common line that runs through all of these examples? The people who suffer the most are the people we most often pretend don't exist. Public housing families, lower income families. Mother Nature clearly doesn't believe in justice for those who have already been marginalized. So it's on us to seek justice for them. For decades, Queensbridge and Ravenswood houses families have had to endure higher rates of respiratory illnesses thanks to their fossil fuel burning neighbor next door, the Ravenswood generating station. But justice is on its way to Western Queens as we transition the station away from fossil fuels and towards renewable energy and a plan called Renewable Ravenswood. First, Governor Hochul signed off last fall on a historic offshore wind project that will deliver more than 1,400 megawatts of clean energy to the station. And let me tell you what that means for Queens. It means more than 700,000 homes will be powered by wind energy. It means improving community health and cutting carbon emissions by more than 1 million tons per year. It means thousands of clean energy jobs and billions in economic benefits, all while permanently retiring fossil fuel power generation at that station. Goodbye, Big Alice. Thank you to our friends at Rise, Light, and Power for bringing this critical plan to life, but that's not all. Justice doesn't mean just fixing a problem. It means creating something better in its wake. Until that end, we launched a Ravenswood reuse planning study earlier this spring with funding we secured from the state. This effort will reinvigorate the local community in conjunction with the station's transition. Together with Rise HR&A advisors, we've established a steering committee of local leaders, and we've begun hosting public workshops to hear directly from the people of Western Queens. Now, how do we create equitable economic opportunities like locally based green jobs? How do we expand public waterfront access? And how can we better invest in public housing families? You want to know how? By making sure those closest to the pain are closest to the power. That's how. But I'm not satisfied with just one clean energy project here in Queens. After all we've been through as a borough, environmental justice to me will entail Queens becomes an unmatched hub of renewable energy. Enter the Champlain Hudson Power Express. Yeah, I could clap for that. An international partnership that will help deliver a cleaner, more sustainable future for Queens. Last fall, we broke ground on a conversion station in Astoria. And when it opens in 2026, hydroelectricity generated in Canada and transported to Queen through underground cables will be fed into Con Edison's power grid. And once the station opens, more than 1 million homes here in the city will be powered by clean, renewable energy. And beyond that, this project will reduce carbon emissions by more than 3.7 million metric tons, the equivalent of removing 44% of the cars from New York City streets. Think about that. 1.7 million of our homes will soon be powered by water and wind instead of oil and gas. I don't know if Kaz is here, but I know he likes that. Thousands of green jobs will be created. Millions of families across Western Queens will live healthier lives. My friends, That's what environmental justice looks like. And investing in infrastructure goes far beyond new electricity lines, though. It means investing in the institutions that power our borough, the places where our kids learn, our families grow, and our communities flourish. Now, we all want our kids to have the best education possible, but it's hard to give them that here in Queens when our schools are the most overcrowded and underfunded in the city. But as the borough president and as the father of an 8-year-old public school student, believe me when I say I'm determined to rectify that injustice. And we've done so by allocating $53 million to schools across Queens since I became borough president, including $30 million just this year. And one of those schools is August Martin High School, where the future is being bent in the direction of justice every day. Thank you, Speaker Adams. Named after America's first black airline pilot, the school runs an advanced aviation careers program, where a diverse group of students learn how to take their lives to new heights. But it is hard to soar when your school has been grounded by decades of disinvestment, like so many others across Southeast Queens. Thanks to more than $4 million in funding from my office, however, August Martin's cafeteria, gym, and auditorium will finally be getting the upgrades they need to elevate the student experience. And here on the ground, we're continuing our work to build out hydroponic labs in schools across Queens. And I funded 13 of them so far as borough president. And I'm proud to announce $2.3 million in funding for 9 more labs across the borough this fiscal year. To those students in Forest Hills, Woodside, South Ozone Park, and beyond, I hope you're ready to get your hands dirty. Not only will these labs teach our students the basics of agriculture and healthy eating, they will grow the next generation of scientists, biologists, and green activists. And we need more of these spaces in our schools, but I can't do it alone. Mayor Adams, Speaker Adams. I'm committed to this work, but I want to see our city commit to it too. According to New York Sunworks, putting a hydroponic lab in every New York City public school will cost around $238 million. Now let's do some math here. Less than 1% of the Department of Education's $37.5 billion budget. You heard that. To our school's Chancellor David Banks, let's fully fund hydroponics in schools. And let's get this done, and let's give our 1.1 million students a well-rounded education, one that will help put food on their family tables too. And social skills are as important as any other skill our kids can learn in a math or science class. And that's where our parks, the lungs of our communities, come in. But one of the gravest injustices we face in Queens is the lack of high-quality park space, especially in communities of color. Yet another example of systemic racism. Things are changing, though. Just ask the families who enjoy the 34th Avenue open street in Jackson Heights every day. And I'm proud to have helped them make their project a reality. And we need to see some more of them across the borough. For our more traditional parks, I feel like New York Knicks star Jalen Brunson, with all the dimes I've been dropping. $20 million worth of dimes for our parks this year, to be specific. I even crossed over Shaker Krishnan. We're renovating the basketball courts at Travis Park in Jackson Heights and Phil Rizzuto Park in Richmond Hill. And we're showing Juniper Valley Park in Middle Village some love with $1 million in upgrades next fiscal year. Queens is getting the money from the federal government too. Thank you to the Biden administration for that $117 million check to help us build the Queensway in Central Queens. Access to green space is, at its heart, an issue of environmental and societal justice. And justice is what my office will continue to deliver. And beyond our schools and our parks, Queens' unmatched cultural institutions are themselves a kind of living classroom that deserve and demand investment. And yes, that includes you, Taryn, and the Queens Theater team. That includes you, New York Hall of Science, Queens Museum, Queens Farm, Queens Botanical Garden, the Gucci Museum, Black Spectrum Theater, Flushing Town Hall, and so many more. These organizations teach us all so much about ourselves, about our different cultures and our commonalities, about our histories and our futures. And I'm committed to ensuring that each of our cultural groups have a bright future. And that's why I'm proud to have allocated nearly $27 million to these community anchors since I became borough president. More than $2.2 million of that going right here to the Queens Theater. Culture is king in Queens, the most diverse place on the planet. And you better believe it's going to stay that way for as long as I'm borough president. And that's why there should be no cuts to our cultural groups this year or any other year. Culture is so much more than the arts. And I'd argue we experience culture more through our stomach than our eyes or our ears. And to me, the undisputed champion of combining culture and cuisine is Corona Plaza. And don't just take it from me, though. Just last year, the New York Times ranked the plaza 48th on its list of 100 best places to eat in New York City. Go spend some money after this. Think about that. Countless five-star restaurants and Michelin-star chefs call the city home. And most couldn't hold a candle to the immigrant mother selling tamales at the corner of Roosevelt and National. You know I'm eating my way through the borough, I know. And that's why the city's raid of the plaza last summer made me so mad. My Corona Plaza task force had been working for a year on making the space safer, more sanitary, and we were seeing some success. But with no notice, these mainly immigrant street vendors were suddenly out of a job with no way to feed their families. And I'll be damned if I let anyone say they support immigrants, but then take food out of the mouths and money out of their pockets. Where's the justice in that? So we spoke up. We raised a little hell, and we negotiated, coming to a deal in November that allowed some vendors to return under new regulations. I want to give a special thanks to Deputy Mayor Joshi for her partnership into the Street Vendors Project for your relentless advocacy. It is time to scale up, however, to bring back even more vendors and restore Corona Plaza to its culinary and cultural glory. And thank you, Mayor Adams, and your administration. Just a few weeks ago, we took a big step forward when the DOT issued an RFP to find a long-term operator for the site. And to my fellow borough presidents, Gibson, thank you, of course, for being here, and of course, Antonio Reynoso. We have the blueprint here, because I want to see what we've done in Corona Plaza be the pilot of a citywide program that justly and intelligently addresses street vending. Whether it's Jamaica or Flushing or somewhere like the Brooklyn Bridge, we've got to make sure we're doing right by everyone involved. Justice is at the heart of that mission. And it's a mission we share with so many of our community-based organizations, like Make the Road New York. And it just so happens that Make the Road is opening a new community center directly across the street from Corona Plaza. Centers like this one of lifelines for many and lifesavers for some. And that's why I'm so proud to have put nearly $2 million towards the construction of Make the Road Center. No matter your age, your race, your immigration status, or your background, this center and all our community centers across Queens are here to serve you. But we need more of these spaces. We've got a $140 million center with new pools coming to Roy Wilkins Park, where the design phase is getting underway. Thank you, NYC Parks, and thank you to Speaker Adams and Mayor Adams for your partnership in getting us here. Over in Astoria, my office put $5 million into a brand new variety Boys and Girls Club. And in Forest Hills, we put more than $2 million into renovations at Queens Community House Center. Idle time is the devil's playground, and giving our young people a place to go is the #1 way to ensure public safety. And policing, when done right, is another way. For Southeast Queens residents, however, it can feel like our cops are absent from that conversation. And not because they want to be, but because the 105th Precinct has more than 350 miles of streets in its jurisdiction to cover. The same distance between Rosedale and Richmond, Virginia. Think about that. So I'm so proud to have worked to secure, along with my partner, Sylvina Brooks Powers, $104 million for the new 116th Precinct in Rosedale, which is being completed as we speak and will open this fall. DDC, it better open this fall. And yes, it's going to have a built-in community center. This isn't some new project, though. This has been a project for decades in the making, 4 decades. That's how long local leaders like Best to Beat Them have been pushing for this precinct. This project is literally older than me. They say that justice delayed is justice denied, but we won't be denied any more in Southeast Queens, my friends. Those days are done. Another injustice that becomes ingrained in the Southeast Queens way of life is a sheer lack of reliable public transportation. For those of us who call Rosedale, Laurelton, or Springfield Gardens home, just getting to Jamaica can take an hour by bus. But we all know it's not just Southeast Queens. Southwest Queens families experience that same injustice. Over in Eastern Queens, they've been singing that same song for decades. But more reliable mass transit options are on the way for all of us, no matter where we live. For the 800,000 bus riders in the borough, we can expect relief in the form of the Queens Bus Network design, which is in its final stage. Now, this $30 million investment will add 4 entirely new routes, including a new express line between Laurelton and downtown Manhattan. It also creates 8 new 24-hour routes and 27 rush routes that directly connect with subway and rail hubs. Now, is this a perfect plan? Is anything the MTA does perfect? No. However, I want to see more connections between our bus system and the LIRR, especially for our Eastern Queens residents. But it's an incredible step forward. Turning to our train lines, the Interborough Express will be nothing short of a game changer for Jackson Heights, Maspeth, Middle Village, Glendale, and Ridgewood. Beyond it being just a 40-minute ride end to end, the light rail line connecting Jackson Heights and Bay Ridge will reduce congestion and connect almost 1 million residents to 17 different major transit connections. Finally, no more going through Manhattan. Y'all send this memo to Borough President Mark Levine. Queens is leaving you for Brooklyn, baby. And I know Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso is on board too, because we both know what an economic boom it can be for communities on both sides of our borders. Now, let's go get some shovels in the grounds and passengers in their seats ASAP. Speaking of new rail lines, I have to give credit where credit is due. Back when she was in the city council, and even to this day, Elizabeth Crowley has been pushing the QNS, a proposed 10-stop passenger rail line between Jamaica and Long Island City. Elizabeth, I don't know where you at, but I'm on board. And I'll never say no to more mass transit, and the existing rail line there is only carrying freight. As Southwest Queens continues to grow, let's start carrying commuters along that line too. And when it comes to train lines that already exist, 2023 was a historic year for the historically overlooked Rockaway families who finally experienced just a little bit of transit justice. In his speech last year, I called on the MTA to extend the city ticket discount to Far Rockaway, which for no good reason at all had been excluded from the program, the only station in the city of New York. Well, excluded no more. In August, we launched the Far Rockaway ticket, allowing local families to pay half of what they previously paid to ride the rails. And I know I was a thorn in their side as usual, and we were talking about this for a very long time, but I couldn't be more grateful to the MTA and my Rockaway colleagues for making this program a reality. But when it comes to Queens, growing community of cyclists, they risk paying the ultimate price every time they strap on their helmet. 2023 was the most dangerous year for cycling deaths in New York City since 1999, as 30 bike riders were killed in crashes, while nearly 400 more were seriously injured. Most of those deaths occurred in areas without what? Bike infrastructure. Beyond unacceptable. We made progress in Queens with bike projects like the Queens Boulevard Bike Lane. And I've allocated $4.5 million toward the construction of bike infrastructure across Queens. But we need to see a much more intense effort on DOT's behalf when it comes to finally building out the bike lane on the Queens Borough Bridge. And I have no interest in seeing the $3 million I invested there go to waste. And like our friends at Family for Safe Streets, I want to see this infrastructure built all over Queens. Get it done to protect our cyclists and our pedestrians, 100 of whom were killed in New York City last year. One problematic spot has been North and South Conduit Avenue, spanning South Queens and Brooklyn, which has become the new boulevard of death. But this year, Brooklyn Borough President Minoso and I formed a joint task force with the Department of Transportation and both council members, Joanne Ariola and Sylvina Brooks Powers, in an effort to rectify dangerous sections of the roadway. And we're already seeing success. In December, we finished the redesign of North Conduit at 79th Street in Lindenwood, where 2 people had died since 2018. Thank you to DOT for helping make that happen. Now let's replicate the work like this all around Queens. And while we're at it, let's take back control of our streets from reckless drivers. Because the family of 8-year-old Byron Palomino Arroyo, who was killed in East Elmhurst last month, deserves justice. So do our friends in Albany. Let's finally pass Sammy's Law this session and allow New York City to set its own speed limits. Get it done, Albany. Of everything we talked about today, from creating jobs to building housing, none of it means anything if we don't have our health. And while we've come out of COVID stronger than ever as a borough, it would be a dereliction of duty and injustice of the highest order to forget about the healthcare heroes who got us through our darkest days. I said in my first State of the Borough that I would root our recovery and strengthening our healthcare system. And that's exactly what we've done over the last year. $32.7 million in funding for my office is going towards that goal, including $14.4 million this last year alone, the largest single-year allocation for healthcare I've made since becoming VP. And that $14 million pot includes nearly $5 million to upgrade 6 different Gotham Health clinics across Queens, $3 million for state-of-the-art cancer fighting technology at Jamaica Hospital, and $3 million to centralize and improve care for newborns and their mothers at Elmhurst Hospital. Banging pots and pans during the pandemic was great, but we need to speak with our wallets and not just our hearts. We need to stand with our nurses, pushing for fair pay and safe working conditions too. But justice in healthcare means fairness for providers, not just patients. Now, we've talked a lot about injustice today and the work we've done together to root it out. I'm so proud of the progress we've made, but that progress is under threat like never before. We are the world's borough. 190 countries are represented here. More than 350 languages and dialects are spoken on our streets. The political and religious ideologies sprinkled throughout our communities are infinite. That diversity is our strength, but it could be our downfall if we are not careful. Because we live in a world that is more divided now than at any other point in my lifetime. Pandemic-fueled bigotry threatened thousands of our AAPI neighbors in Queens. But we stood shoulder to shoulder with our brothers and sisters in that community to stop Asian Kate. Our Sikh and LGBTQ communities have come under attack repeatedly, but never will we stop pushing back against prejudice. Most recently, the brutality that Hamas brought to Israel on October 7th and the needless suffering in Gaza in the months after had fanned the flames of distrust and disgust here in Queens. But we will not allow ourselves to be divided. I visited Israel last year with leaders from Queens' Jewish community. Smelt the stench of death lingering in those burnt out kibbutzes myself. I've met with our Muslim leaders here in Queens to let them know that they have an ally and friend at Borough Hall. And after every meeting, I come away more convinced than ever that the world's borough is the world's blueprint to follow. That no matter our background, we all strive for the same things: unity, peace, and prosperity. Martin Luther King once said that we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. And for thousands of years, humans have been trying to escape that network and untie that garment. And every time we try, it brings war, hate, famine, corruption, and endless suffering. On a local level, it brings gentrification, wealth gaps, and disinvestment designed to hold entire communities back. It brings injustice. But one thing we've never been short on here in Queens is faith. Faith that despite our differences and despite our circumstances, we can build a future for our kids that we couldn't have imagined for ourselves. Faith that Dr. King said in his own Nobel Prize acceptance speech gives us the courage to face the uncertainties of the future. Faith that will give our tired feet new strength as we continue our forward stride toward the city of freedom. My friends, I have faith in you. I have faith in us. The state of our borough is stronger than ever because I have faith in our shared mission to create a borough rooted in justice for all 2.4 million of us, to overcome the cruelty and hardship of our world and build a borough that transcends our divisions, not to be prisoners of fate, but pioneers of a future worthy of families. We have the power to decide what the city of freedom looks like. Thank you. God bless you, Queens. Now let's go build it.
Queens Public Television. Listen, Borough President Richard, your presentation was absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you. Yes.
Ladies, would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, now, not for anything, all the money and revenue that's coming to the borough, you are just phenomenal. Let's talk about JFK Airport. How much money will that spur down the road after everything is completed?
Well, we're talking over $20 billion of investment and over billions of dollars going to local Queens-based small businesses and MWBEs, and still a lot more work to do.
Now, wasn't it just kismet that today everyone was talking about Willits Point all day yesterday? ABC, NBC, all the channels, 10-10 wins.
Yep.
And your State of the Borough happens today. That's just kismet.
We scored a goal for the borough: housing, sports, cuisine, most importantly, leaving the communities of Corona and Jackson Heights and East Elmhurst better than we found it.
And I have to say, when people first spoke about Creedmoor in Queens and redevelopment in Queens, they were like, you're going to redevelop in Creedmoor, Queens? Talk about that housing situation and turning that place around.
Over 40 years of disinvestment, and we're still working, and we want to make sure that it's a community-based focused plan, and we're moving ahead and look forward to continuing community debate and ensuring that we get some shovels in the ground there.
Definitely. And oh my God, your tech hub and tech initiatives. I'm happy that Queens Public Television is there to be on the ground with you with those tech hubs. Talk about all the young entrepreneurs that are just sprouting up based on your initiatives.
Well, this is about bridging the gap for many of our black and brown communities who are not in the industry. I talked of having 22% of black and brown New Yorkers in the tech industry, and we're going to fix that with centers like this.
Oh, okay. Hold on one moment. We're going to let some people pass, and we're going to bring in your beautiful, lovely wife here,
Yay.
Tamika. Bring in Tamika, everybody. Tamika. Bring in Tamika. Bring in Tamika. You look beautiful in your blue. Doesn't she look beautiful? Now, Tamika, all the different initiatives that your husband has, as a wife, I know that sometimes we're like, oh, honey, you have to do this. What are some of the most fondest initiatives that he's accomplishment that just touches your heart?
Well, of course, I'm a big advocate of mental health.
Yes.
So mental health was something near and dear to my heart. So that's one of the ones that definitely is very important to me. And also the schools and funding the schools, because we have an 8-year-old son. And I love that he's investing in our schools because our children are our future.
So thank you for joining me. We're going to go right back to you. We are on Queens Public Television Live. Thank you, everyone. So Jimmy, how did our borough president do today with his presentation?
Donovan is always a great speaker, and today is no exception. But I really love the speech rooted in justice, and I think talking about all the ways that Donovan and his office are delivering justice to all of the residents of Queens. It's a very powerful speech. I'm not surprised because the borough president is always a powerful speaker, and he brings the energy for the borough. He's also delivering tens of millions of dollars for incredible projects. The housing piece was strong, the environmental justice piece was strong, the jobs piece was strong. I think the borough president delivers.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Not for anything, 190 countries represented here. You represent all of them.
I know it is a special place, and we take it for granted often. But Queens there's no other place like it in the world.
And can I just say fashion? This jacket is everything. Everything.
Wait. When we're talking about fashion, okay, Tamika, do you dress him or did he pick that out himself? Oh, you're awesome.
She dressed me some days. When I look nice, she dressed me.
Thank you. Back to you guys.
No one ever thinks that I dress myself when I look nice. They give Tamika all the credit.
I love
and I just agree. I'm like, yep, she dressed me.
Ebony, there is no I in team, and the borough president always shouts out his staff, and he particularly pointed you out for all of your tech initiatives and just all the work that you do in the borough. Tell us how your tech initiative started, like the idea, the concept.
First of all, I just want to give shout out to the Queensboro president, Donovan Richards, who allows that. There are not too many people that allow that to happen. So he has released his ego and just opened up the world to us. So we're really excited about that. It started with data, right? The data in New York City says that our most marginalized people, brown and black, sit at the very bottom of the tech ecosystem. And we are already 50 years behind in wealth building. Tech is going to take us another 150 years. They say that what tech will do is make our middle income poor, our millionaires, billionaires, and billionaires, trillionaires. So we got to get on this bandwagon quickly.
That is absolutely amazing. Yes. Talk about the type of income that can be generated in the community and how it does a domino effect.
Absolutely. So you're coming out, with certifications and making $150K with a certification. That's without a degree, right? $200K. If you go into entrepreneurship, that's millions and billions of dollars that you can make easily, especially if you're talking about generating artificial intelligence and machine learning. This is where our world is going, right? And so we need our brown and black people trained. We need them practicing every day.
So he talked a lot about the JFK airport and the opportunities there. Please shout that out because maybe people still can get in on the ground. It does a domino effect.
It is. Yeah, you're talking about jobs. You're talking about opportunities for people that, may have just come into Queens. They're immigrants, right? There are opportunities right now at JFK. The borough president, along with his co-chair, Congressman Meeks, are just doing an amazing job of opening doors for our most marginalized people. And so we hope to keep that moving.
And lastly, what can we expect for the spring and summer? What's on the agenda? What's coming up?
we are hiring our first executive director of the Tech Hub, Randy Wiggins. He will be on for this year, and we will be opening up starting January of 2025. But mental health services, specifically targeted to Black male mental health, which is a real critical issue right now. We're looking at our parks and pools opening and billions of dollars being put into, pools so we can have fun and relax and take our kids places. Just get ready. Queens is dropping bombs.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And there's always concerts that are coming up.
Concerts, get ready. You've got Gov Ball, all types of concerts coming up. Summer Stage. Check queensbp.org and your local parks. You got it. It's all there.
You heard it first on Queens Public Television. Ebony, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
This is Beth. She's been an advocate for the 116th precinct, and now she's seen it come to fruition. When did you think about, wow, we need another precinct here? And how did you go about advocating for it?
Well, it goes back to the 70s.
Oh my God.
And that's over 4 decades. But I must say, and it's not just because of today's state of the borough, but this young man, who was our city council person, he advocated on our behalf. And I want to thank you again publicly for over 40 years, years. And you was quite born to help get the 116th precinct. And I'm so proud of you. It should be named after you.
No, it should be named after you.
And talk about the
How did you get? Well, we twisted a few arms.
Uh-oh.
But I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Borough President, send us out. That's it for today's show.
Congratulations, QPTV. Love ya.